Hi, welcome to the premiere edition of MUSCLECARS Plus Video Magazine, the newest and certainly the most exciting video program available for those of us who enjoy high-performance American iron on the street and strip. In each and every explosive issue, we'll be bringing you the hottest shows, fastest cars, prettiest women, and the most unusual performance video seen anywhere. So sit back and enjoy coast-to-coast action with MUSCLECARS Plus. What's your favorite muscle car?
Well, after all the regular ones, I think a 500-inch Cadillac motor and a 72 Monte Carlo, that's it for me.
64 Chevy SS, 409. 68 Olds Cutlass, two-door, 350 rocket motor in it. 67 Chevy 2 Super Sports, God's gift to the world.
87 Ford Mustang GT.
1966 Ford Cobra. 1968 Hemi Dodge Charger, man, RT.
69 Camaro, Z28.
64 Goat, 389 Tri-Power.
We're back with MUSCLECARS Plus Video Magazine. I'm Joe HACKL, your host, and we're kicking off this premiere edition from Seventh Heaven Rods and Customs, located in Crestwood, Illinois. Now, Seventh Heaven and the thousands of other shops like it around the country that build, fabricate, and customize early iron, street and strip machines, and late model factory performance vehicles make a statement that America's love affair with cars is bigger than ever before. In this issue, we are going to take you to the Milan Dragway for part 2 in the 4-part series of drag racing and show events, the National Muscle Car Association Flowmaster Muffler Muscle Challenge 92. We'll be bringing you Rick Johnson's 1962 Pontiac Catalina as our Top Gun feature car. Coast-to-coast show and go action with Cruisin USA. Beautiful Yvonne Dawson will be sudsing up and washing down an equally impressive 77 Blown Vette in hot shots. All this including radical rides, Gearhead garage, flashback, muscle cars worldwide, tons of performance features, a brief chat with Steve Conzen and Bob Yankee of Seventh Heaven, and much more. But right now we're going to take you full throttle into the first of our performance feature series, brought to you by Mother's Car Wax.
Man, that guy's fast. Hey, Bobby, who's the new kid? Whoever it is, he sure knows how to keep a car looking good. Yeah, that car shines from the tailpipes to the front fenders. Who cleaned that car?
Someone who taught me everything I know.
Cleanest car I ever drove, but it needs a little work under the hood.
Boy, I hope she's not racing tomorrow.
Take a picture, boys. It'll last longer.
If you want a clean car, you've got to trust your mothers.
Larry Parks kicks off our performance feature series with his 1955 Chevy Bel Air. An original California car, this beauty sports a 350 cubic inch LT1 motor that pumps out a potent 360 horsepower. Resting on the block is an Edelbrock dual quad manifold with a pair of Edelbrock 650 CFM carburetors. Coupled to the engine is a 4-speed Muncie Trans running out to 373 posi gears. A mean black paint job and custom graphics tops off this modified, though classic ride. Mark Siller's 1970 Plymouth AAR Cuda brings one of the hottest looking cars ever built to MUSCLECARS Plus. With a total of 2,700 units being produced in the first and only model year it was offered, the AAR Cuda is a rare find for anyone lucky enough to snag one. The AAR comes complete with a 340 small block rated at 290 horsepower at 5,000 RPMs. A forged steel crank, rods, and aluminum pistons round out this bulletproof block. 3 Holley 2-barrel carbs, flow rated at 1,210 CFM, pour the gas on demand as required for street or strip action. An A727 Torque Flight automatic hooked up to an 8 3/4 sure grip differential makes sure the horsepower is put on the pavement. Plum-crazy purple paint and special graphics set this total performance vehicle apart from most other cars of its day. Eric Barth's 67 Shelby GT500 Mustang powers out of Sauk City, Wisconsin as one of the hottest ponies we've seen to date. With production numbers sitting at 2,025 units, this Stang is not only potent, but another rare find. The original 427 big block is fitted with all the right stuff, including 11-to-1 Aries racing pistons, Le Mans rods, a steel polished crank, competition cam, and Manley stainless valves. Sitting on top of the power plant is a medium riser dual quad manifold with a complete pair of Holley 600 CFM carbs. Hooker competition headers complete this deadly combination. If you happen to see Eric's car in your rearview mirror, look out, because you could get dusted. This car not only barks, it bites. Don Veggie likes the straightforward approach to building a heavy hitter in big block power. First, take the classic looks of a 66 Chevelle SS and drop in a punched out 427 that's about 30 over. Next, you get to pick and install a main course of high performance accessories including 11.5-to-1 forged pistons, a Crower cam, Manley valves, Norris roller rockers, a Wien manifold, Holley carb, and Excel ignition. A Muncie 4-speed tranny runs the power out to a very correct 410 12-volt posi rear end. Centerline wheels and an Autumn Fire Mist paint job cap the effort. Now let's not forget the magic bottle in the trunk, an added weapon to ensure total street supremacy. It's apparent that Don Veggie knows Chevelles, and this one is a bad-to-the-bones performer. John Orlando's 32 Ford Tudor is one car that's sure to turn your head. But be careful, you might just twist it off as you try to get a quick glimpse of this radically altered and powerful custom ride. The stats for this 32 are totally impressive. A fresh 350, 345 horsepower motor, 671 blower, Holley carbs, MSD ignition, billet accessories, a turbo 400 tranny, chrome straight axle, a Dana rear end, and well-wheel billet wheels. Customized? You bet. Chop top, stretched hood, cut taillights, chassis, a 4-bar rear suspension, full stainless exhaust, and more. John's car is a one-of-a-kind original in both style and performance.
Schrader here to tell you about my latest discovery, Mother's California Gold. Hey, that's mine. Take it from me, folks, Rusty Wallace. I discovered Mother's car wax products first. This is Davey Allison telling you Mother's makes the best car wax and great wheel cleaner. I just discovered it. No way.
You guys seen my Mother's California Gold?
Nope.
Been using it for years. Now someone's gone and took it. If you want a clean car, you've got to trust your Mother's.
When MUSCLECARS Plus was invited to the Milan Dragway by the National Muscle Car Association, we didn't know what to expect. We heard some great things about past events and about the NMCA drag racing format, but we certainly weren't prepared for the heads-up drag racing action we ran into. Located about 30 minutes from Detroit, Milan Dragway offered the perfect backdrop for Part 2 in the National Muscle Car Association Drag Racing Series. While many cars checked into the local host hotel the night before, the majority of cars and owners were found to be lined up and ready for registration at 8 a.m. sharp on Saturday morning. It didn't take very long for many of the competitors to bark out warning signals signifying they were here not only to have a whole lot of fun, but also for some serious drag racing business. What kind of performance machinery did you want to see at Milan? You name it, and it was probably there. From Boss 429 Mustangs, 446-pack Super Bs, 455 Buick GSs, a 63 Catalina punched at 459 screaming inches, Chevelles, 442s, and all the rest. Some of these cars truly represented the cream of the crop in high-performance hardware. Big names, you bet. From the veterans of drag racing wars of days gone by to a new breed of racers, some of the best in the West were going to be put to the test. Names like Barry Poole, Arlen Venke, Roger Lindemuth, Richard Lowry, and Roger Laudy. Entries from all over the U.S. and Canada were gassed up, tuned, and ready to run. As the first minutes of the time trials passed, we knew we were ready to see some of the hottest drag racing found anywhere in the country, and you'll see what we mean as we bring you more door-slamming 60-style racing action from Milan Dragway. But first, after a word from our sponsor, let's hop aboard the next feature and go cruising USA.
Are you looking for full throttle performance in a muffler without having your ears blown out? Are you ready to bolt on a muffler system that combines the latest technology and efficiency designs? If so, you want to check out the newest mufflers by the leader in high-performance muffler systems, Flowmaster. Why Flowmaster? Because Flowmaster's unique power chamber design gives you maximum performance with a minimum of noise. For more information on Flowmaster, see your local Flowmaster dealer or call 1-800-544-4761.
We first had the idea of putting together a feature that would give our viewers a generous helping of shows, cruising, street action, and other performance events. Well, the end result is what you're about to see as we go cruising USA. Matt Dog of Honolulu, Hawaii sent us some video of the great cruising action on the Big Island at the Jolly Roger Drive-In. From roadsters to coupes, classics and street machines, the Jolly Roger showcases some of the finest performance vehicles on the islands. From the condition of the rides, you can see that road salt and other chemical pollutants don't wreak the havoc on metal and paint as they do here on the mainland, especially for those of us who live up north. Hawaii's pleasant tropical climate is also totally conducive to year-round cruising, and we can see that many of Matt's friends have no problem with bringing their rides out for an evening of cruising fun. Going from one tropical climate to one that's certainly hot year-round, we jump to Florida's Gulf Coast with John Moody's Suncoast Mustang Club show on the pier in St. Petersburg, Florida. John Moody, president of Suncoast Mustangs and show chairman, organized a show that featured about 166 cars, mostly classic and high-performance Mustangs. The beautiful Gulf of Mexico provided a great backdrop for a show of what many consider to be the hottest-looking, best-handling performance vehicle ever put on the market by Detroit's Big Three. Just a little farther down the road, Wayne Ringler of Miami puts together some of South Florida's best organized and certainly sharpest looking car shows. From the looks of things, Wayne opens his shows to just about anything that smacks of classic looks and performance. Wayne's company, WJM Productions, puts on Miami's largest custom and classic car show, held each year on the grounds of Miami's Sea Aquarium in Key Biscayne. This car show is sponsored in part by Rolly Fernandez, known as Miami's King of Customs, performing his customizing magic for many celebrities in shows including the Miami Vice television series. In addition to the big show, Wayne is responsible for organizing a variety of cruising events throughout Miami and Fort Lauderdale, which include a reportedly unbelievable engine blow contest, which Wayne promises to cover for MUSCLECARS Plus in the next issue. Wayne shows us that Miami is filled to the brim with beautiful-looking automotive machinery. Jumping on Florida's Turnpike, we head north through Georgia and into the mountains of Tennessee as we visit Gary Sonner's annual Smoky Mountain Mopar Club Car Show. This show was located in Sevierville, Tennessee, just southeast of Knoxville in the heart of the Smokies. From winged Superbirds to the awesome factory Hemi, the Smoky Mountain Show featured an unbelievable array of the best Mopar had to offer during its performance building years. While we've been seeing a variety of classic and high-performance vehicles all across the country, Mopar is definitely the hot ticket here. Just a little farther north on I-75, we pull into Ohio, shooting over to Cleveland for the 1992 Rodin Custom Autorama. We asked for it, and Ron Heitman sent us some video footage of Cleveland's hottest performance exhibition. This one covered the full spectrum of cruisers, customs, rods, and street machines, providing those attending with a full hit of radical performance machinery. Just a short distance away from Cleveland is Boardman, Ohio, hometown to Rick Thompson's A&W Drive-In Restaurant. Rick's A&W is regarded as one of the top cruising hangouts in the country, and he's constantly being covered in numerous performance publications. In addition to a DJ, Rick gives his customers a full dosage of cruise-related events and promotions. It is no wonder that his clientele respond by bringing in some of Ohio's hottest street stuff. Make sure you stop by Rick's A&W Boardman when attending any of the big events at Quaker City Dragway, including the Hot Rod Nats and Bill Bartell's Supercar Showdown. Shuttling over to New York, we find some videos sent to us by Dave Carroll of the Six Nation All Pontiac Show held in Syracuse, New York. Here's another first-class display of concourse-quality high-performance machinery, including this 67 Grand Prix convertible owned by Scott Carroll. The car has a 428 cubic inch engine coupled to a tight 4-speed tranny. Incidentally, this is one of 17 made. Pontiacs have been a big collector's favorite, as we've seen in our travels around the country. For those of you who want to send some video in for Cruising USA, take note of Dave's style, stability, and shot framing. For a show video, this is one of the better ones to have come across our editor's desk.
We'll be back with more MUSCLECARS Plus in just a moment.
Order now. One phone call brings you 3 high-performance automotive and truck magazines for only $29.95. Popular hot rodding, super Chevy, and off-road magazines delivered to your door for 1 year for just 83 cents a copy. Popular hot rodding, the must magazine for the do-it-yourselfer. In-depth information, low-buck tech tips, spectacular car features, and behind-the-scenes race coverage. Super Chevy, the #1 Chevrolet magazine in the world, from street performance to the restoration shop. Hands-on technical projects that really work, and exceptional features on America's most beautiful Chevrolets. If trucks turn you on, then Off-Road Magazine covers the world of off-roading for 2- and 4-wheel drive. Truck testing, race coverage, how-to projects, they're all in off-road. 3 dynamic magazines each month for only $29.95. Call 1-800-545-9364. Visa and MasterCard accepted. 1-800-545-9364. Or send a check or money order to Argus Special, P.O. Box 49659, Los Angeles, California 90049. Order now, 1-800-545-9364.
Many car clubs are looking to add a bit of excitement and action to their shows, are turning to the Burnout Contest to bring out the crowds, and the Dream Machines Car Club of Streator, Illinois is by far no exception. For the second year in a row, Dream Machines has treated enthusiastic spectators to a spectacular show of smoke and rubber. The fireworks couldn't have been more impressive as late and early model street machines ripped up the pavement, all in the name of fun and a good time. Though not for the muscle car purist, the Burnout Contest furnishes some of the power, sound, and excitement of drag racing in a limited area and without many of the safety requirements that are an essential part of quarter-mile drag racing. Fred Niegemann of Dream Machines tells Muscle Cars that the overall success of their show and contest has been determined by an increase in the attendance over the previous years, with clubs and individual entries steadily growing. Judging by the response of the crowd, the Burnout Contest was well received by all who attended. For those of you who want to check out next year's event, and by the way, they have a dynamite car show too, Winona is located about 90 miles southwest of Chicago. Cranking the tour north to Chicago down Lakeshore Drive to Donnelly Hall, which is across from the world-famous McCormick Place, we visit the Chevy Vet Fest, and a fest it is, as we'll show you in just a minute. If your heart is in Chevys and Corvettes, then this event is absolutely the place to be. Put on by Mid-America Promotions, the fest is fast becoming one of the hottest tickets in the country with its Gold Spinner Concourse Awards and top-notch showings. But what happened one Sunday not too long ago when it came time to pack up and head home? Well, some of the folks couldn't wait for summer to come, as the streets outside of the hall became a setting for a radical and somewhat illegal display of raw horsepower. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Chicago, you have to understand that this was taking place only minutes from the heart of downtown Chicago's big financial district. Well, it didn't take long for Chicago's finest to realize what was up, but in the meantime, the action was fast and totally furious. One thing's for certain, a lot of people were treated to a great show event and some great after-hours street fun. While in the Windy City, you'll want to head over to the south suburbs for some legendary cruising action. First starting off at Duke's Drive-In, home to Chicago's fastest streetcars. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, Duke's was notorious as the staging ground for some of the most furious, high-buck street racing seen anywhere. Numerous magazines sent out their photographers to capture the action, only to return with unbelievable stories of pro street clashes being arranged in Duke's back lot and played out in the darkened roads of Chicago's rural countryside. Well, many of those areas have long since been developed with new housing, and local law enforcement has crimped much of the high-performance grandstanding that was so much a part of Duke's colorful past. Nonetheless, Duke's has maintained and expanded its status as the #1 cruising hangout on Chicago's South Side. On any given Friday or Saturday night during Chicago's typically hot summers, you can find every kind of ride cruising in and out of Duke's parking lot. A couple of miles south of Duke's in Alsip, Illinois is the Frosted Mug Drive-In. Formerly a Dog and Suds, the Mug, as it is called, is owned and operated by Jim Monaco and is now celebrating its 30th year in business. We came across this recent show held at the Frosted Mug, as it is every year. I mean, check out the cars. Many of these are premium quality concourse rides from top to bottom. While Duke's primarily caters to the high performance crowd, the Mug attracts radical rods, coupes, classics, and other vintage iron. Jim's efforts to revive the 50s and 60s feeling in his establishment have led to a nostalgic craze on Tuesday nights, attracting cruisers from all over Chicago and beyond. The Mug also maintains full car hop service similar to the way it was in days gone by. For premium quality cruising and root beer, the Frosted Mug has no match. Heading south out of Chicago on I-65, we run directly into turf wholly owned and operated by Joe Carter's Illinois Street Racers and Machines. Joe fired this tape off to us of the leanest and meanest radical machinery we've just about ever seen. From fully blown and injected rockets to low-slung chopped and channeled bombers, this Southern Illinois tradition is the #1 street machine stomping ground in the nation. Need we say more? We hope Joe sends us more footage in the future, and we'd like to thank him and his club for the support they've given the MUSCLECARS Plus project.
Anything. No.
In our final stop aboard this edition of Cruising USA, we plunge headfirst into the heart of the Lone Star State as we visit Dallas, Texas, with footage provided by NMCA member Jess Lewis of the 5th Annual Chevelle Regional Car Show. The quickest and cleanest of Chevy's best came out to be cleaned and checked out. A lot of cars with rare options packages and low production numbers made the show a real winner for those attending. Also, with Chevelles being noted for potent performance, one needed to only lift a hood or two and see the reason why. Performance built on cubes. That was part of Chevrolet's legacy in developing the Chevelle line during the late 60s and early 70s with big block numbers including the 396, 454, and the legendary 427. We won't turn our back on the small block performers as they were hot and heavy on both the street and strip and were clearly present at this excellent show. Now, we hope you enjoyed viewing the premiere of Cruising USA as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Some of the video footage sent in was truly incredible, and we'd like to thank all of those individuals who took the time to send us footage you've just seen. Now, in just a moment, we're going to tell you how to get your own video in Cruising USA. But first, a word from the leader in engine accessories, Moroso.
After a racing engine builder has spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars squeezing every possible ounce of power from an engine, there's one finishing touch they like to add. Moroso Engine Accessories. Because an engine that is fast should look it. Engine accessories from Moroso. Race proven.
Over the past several months, we've received an overwhelming response to our ongoing video search for Cruising USA. Now, if you have a videotape of an outrageous burnout, a local cruising hangout, show, drag racing, or perhaps a favorite car, or if you're planning on videotaping in the near future, we'd like to put your video in Cruisin USA. How do you get your video in Cruisin USA? It's this simple. Just drop us a line, tell us what you've got or what you're planning on doing, and we'll send you out all the necessary information. And if you're planning on videotaping, we'll even send you out a Fuji super high-grade video cassette to record on. Now, how do you get the info in the tape? It's this simple. Write us at MUSCLECARS Plus Video Magazine, 12413 South Harlem Avenue in Palos Heights, Illinois, 60463. Now I'd like to present another high-performance feature exclusively from MUSCLECARS Plus Video Magazine. It's called Top Gun, and it features some of the meanest and baddest street strip machines found anywhere in the country. In this edition of Top Gun, we're going to be showing you Rick Johnson's 1962 421 SD Pontiac Catalina. And now, Top Gun. In this edition of Top Gun, we feature a car that was originally built to show but wound up a pure strip killer. The car we are talking about is Rick Johnson's 1962 421 Pontiac Catalina. Originally purchased in Phoenix, Arizona for $2 grand, the car was put through a complete body-off restoration with an eye for some drag racing, but mostly to be shown at local events. After a pretty thorough run through the car show circuit, the drag racing bug began to eat at Rick, especially considering his colorful history of quarter-mile competition during the 60s and early 70s. The first time the car hit the track, it kicked out a somewhat impressive 11.77 seconds at 120 miles per hour. As time passed, more high-performance hardware was added along with a complete reworking of the power plant and drivetrain. Modifications include punching out the 421 SD motor 60 over to a wide-open 433 big cubic inches. A hot competition cam was dropped in the bottom end, along with Arius 12-to-1 compression pistons and Carrillo steel rods. Fuel is provided to the Thirsty engine courtesy of dual Carter 500 CFM carburetors sitting on top an original PMD Super Duty dual quad manifold from 1962. A 514 rear axle with a strange spool and axles hooked to a Jericho 4-speed makes this car especially dangerous to competitors off the line. Rick's Pontiac currently holds the NMCA record in the Nostalgia Superstock class, running 11.04 seconds at 122.55 miles per hour. Fastest ET to date, though, is a crack your neck 10.91 seconds at 123.05 miles per hour at the Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove, Wisconsin. While power is definitely the key here, so is the weight factor as the Catalina sports the lightweight aluminum front-end clip, including front and rear bumpers. What you see then is a total of 3,611 pounds with the driver. A colorful Mandalay red paint job with the no sponsor emblem honors the 61 Pontiac Ventura his older brother used to campaign in the early 60s with the same emblem. Running hard and heavy as part of the Midwest Nostalgia Superstocker Association, the Catalina sees full-time duty at nostalgia and muscle car events throughout the Midwest. As a big block monster, this Pontiac performer peels off the gut-wrenching power, durability, and looks it takes to be Top Gun.
Boy, it is fun to drive this car, especially when you can shift the automatic manually like that with some confidence. You know, most of us, we leave our automatic transmissions in the drive position about 99% of the time, because when we try to shift them manually with stock linkage, it's a jerky, hit and miss kind of a deal and real easy to miss a shift. I want you to meet Jim Davis, the president of B&M Products, who has taken all the guesswork out of that manual shifting. Jim, I love the ratchet action of that shifter, just the confidence it gives you.
Yeah, that's our new mega shifter, Steve. It's installed here in our 83 Project Camaro, which we use for projects like that and, of course, the B&M Supercharger. This unit is our console model, of course. We also make another mega shifter that fits in a regular car like this S10 Blazer over here.
What other shifters do you have, Chip?
Well, I can actually show you better than I can tell you, Steve. Let's go on inside.
Well, Jim, judging from this lineup, apparently not everybody wants the same kind of shifter.
No, we have a lot of different shifters. Basically, they're designed from two standpoints. One is cosmetic appearance, and the other is function.
Jim, I see some history here among the line. It had to be 20 years ago I first saw the old chrome box shifter.
That's right. That was our first shifter. In fact, this was one of the very first automatic shifters designed for automatic transmissions.
You still make it?
Oh, yeah. It's still popular. A lot of racers still insist on using that shifter.
And that was the old gate pattern?
Yeah, it's the gate pattern. The stick just moves through, and you move it over to get around the detents. This is the quick-click shifter. It ratchets through all the gears. And as you can see, no matter what gear it's in, the stick stays in the same center upright position. It has an indicator that shows what gear position it's in. The Z-gate shifter operates just like a conventional detent shifter from drive to neutral. When you want to get a little more serious about your street activities, you lift the trigger and you can pull it all the way back to low gear. When it's in that mode, you can now hit it as hard as you want and you can't miss a gear. 1, 2, 2, 3.
Well, Jim, part of high-performance driving, a big part, is having control of your automobile. And even though we may have an automatic transmission, today you've shown us a lot of ways that we can have more control, and I appreciate it.
It was our pleasure, Steve.
And now a classic quiz from Gold Dust Classics. In the late 1960s, at the Motor City Dragway, a yet unlettered or numbered car was involved in a horrendous crash, destroying the car, but fortunately sparing the driver. The Gold Dust Classic quiz is, what was the name of the car and driver involved in the crash? We'll be back in just a minute with the answer after a word from Gold Dust Classics. Do you enjoy full-blown pro stock and super stock drag racing as it was run during the glory days of the 60s and 70s? Do you get chills when you see the likes of such legends as Roddy Sox, Doug Nash, Bob Glidden, and Dick Landry? Do you jump off your seat at the sight of original AA Gas, Top Fuel, Top Gas, and AFX cars? Well, if you do, then the complete series of classic drag racing videos from Gold Dust Classics is for you. Gold Dust racing videos have all the drag racing excitement and action that you've been looking for. In fact, this stuff isn't just spectacular. It's absolutely breathtaking. If you want to receive Gold Dust Classics Collector's Edition video catalog covering nostalgia drag racing films from the 60s right on through the 70s, here's all you do. Just send $2. That's right, only $2 to Gold Dust Classics, P.O. Box 6025, Ashland, Virginia, 23005. Your $2 will be credited towards your first order. Don't miss the opportunity. Drag racing at its best, the way it was meant to be run with Gold Dust Classics racing videos. The answer to our Gold Dust Classic quiz, Houston Platt, Dixie Twister. And now for more high-performance feature cars from MUSCLECARS Plus.
Bob Yankey's 33 Chevy Coupe is radical to say the least, with an altered wheelbase and an altered body with 8 inches cut out. Bob also lowered the rear deck lid, gave the car a 4-inch chop, fitted it with 1959 Caddy taillights and other wild modifications. Building on a 2x3 frame, Bob strapped on a 388 cubic inch killer Chevy engine that pumps out a modest 450 horsepower. Plugged into the back of the power plant is a beefed up turbo 350 tranny built by Bob in 7th Heaven Rods and Customs. The 73 Corvette yellow paint job with other special modifications let this coupe stand alone, whether on show or at a stoplight. Dodge performed some real magic with the production of its 1971 Challenger convertible. Steve Freilich of Wausau, Wisconsin owns one of the 1,807 incredible units that were put on the market that year. In addition to having some real low numbers, some of the other components that were essential to the total performance picture include a tight 340 Magnum engine, complete with a performance cam and a 650 Carter 4-barrel carb. A 7 Grand tack, sure grip rear end, and the plum crazy purple were all part of the individual identity Dodge was striving for with the introduction of new paint and graphic packages for its muscle cars. Now here's a car you don't see very often, and when you do, it's rarely in this good a shape. Okay, so the car was originally from California, and it has gone through a complete frame-up restoration. But when you look closely, the care and detail given this 61 Impala convertible make it truly exceptional. Owned but not yet driven by Elizabeth Ann Deckelman of Tinley Park, Illinois, this car has a 348 cubic inch engine topped off with Chevy's legendary tri-power carb setup. No turbos or rock crushers here, just the old reliable 2-speed power glide. Goodyear provides the tread with Bob Bugle of Bel Air Auto Restoration shooting the beautiful Roman red paint. Elizabeth's Impala is truly in a class by itself. If NASA's looking for a space shuttle replacement, they should scrap their rockets and look up Bob Boyle's 1970 Mach 1 Mustang-based Pro Street Monster. This car is totally killer both inside and out, combining a radical blend of the hottest performance accessories on the market today. This car, first purchased by Bob in 1976, has gone through numerous build-ups, including 4 engines and 2 blower units. Presently, the engine compartment is occupied by a fully balanced and blueprinted Boss 351 punch 30 over. TRW 8.5 to 1 pistons were cut down to give a compression ratio of 7.5 to 1 to accommodate the 671 blower. The engine requires 3 Hayden electric fans for a complete and total cool down. Bob wanted to add a real custom touch to the standard blower setup, so enter a flow-matched Kinsler fuel injection system. Without question, this addition just screams performance and gives Bob's pony the added punch to win show after show. A fully beefed drivetrain, including a 4-speed hooked to a 31-spline Detroit Locker 430 rear end, knocks all other competition off the road and into the weeds. Steve Komopinski carries on the proud tradition of Corvette ownership with his 1963 Corvette Roadster. Powered by the small block workhorse of the 60s, a Chevy 327, the Roadster features a red exterior, white top, and black interior. After sitting outside for nearly 2 years, the car has been brought back to life with a total detailing and workover by the boys at Seventh Heaven. No need for a big block torquey engine here, as the no-frills 327 does a stand-up job of moving the classic down the road. Even quicker than many of today's factory performance vehicles. No other car speaks louder in classic performance than the Vette, and stands as an excellent example of one fine machine.
Kenny Schrader here to tell you about my latest discovery, Mother's California Gold. Hey, that's mine. Take it from me, folks, Rusty Wallace. I discovered Mother's Car Wax products first. This is Davey Allison telling you Mother's makes the best car wax and great wheel cleaner. I just discovered. No way.
You guys seen my Mother's California Gold?
Nope.
Been using it for years. Now someone's gone and took it. If you want a clean car, you've got to trust your Mother's.
As we step farther into Saturday's events, the threat of rain seemed to increase throughout the day, keeping the NMCA officials biting their nails, hoping the total washout they experienced in Houston would not be repeated. Well, the gods smiled upon Milan Dragway as the rains held back, allowing the racing to continue. We viewed run after run of sensational and blistering quarter-mile competition as the National Muscle Car Association rolled out its entire drag racing program. As of this date, the NMCA drag racing format consists of 8 separate racing classes, including Pure Stock, Top Stock, Modified Production, EFI Stock Appearing, EFI Modified, EFI Super Modified, Nostalgia Super Stock, and Bracket. Through eliminations at each event, an NMCA World Points champion in each eliminator category will be crowned at the World Finals in Memphis on September 20th, 1992. We'll be covering this in the next edition of MUSCLECARS Plus, but more on that later on in the program. Now, the champions are determined by the total number of points accumulated during the 1992 4-event series. With the exception of a handful of other quality programs being promoted by several organizations around the country, the NMCA format is by far one of the best we've seen anywhere, and its total commitment to its members, their families, and to the promotion of the sport of drag racing make it first rate. Now, without a lot of talk or music, let's check out the unforgettable sights and sounds of Milan Dragway from July 11th and 12th of 1992. We'll be back shortly with more from Milan Dragway, but now let's go back to Seventh Heaven Rods and Customs after a word from our sponsor.
You'll find spark plug wires like these on racing engines all over the world. The Moroso Blue Max Spiral Core spark plug wires. Racing engine builders know that Blue Max Spiral Core delivers full voltage to the plugs without static interference. But what does that mean for your car? Blue Max Spiral Core, plug wires from Moroso, race proven.
Okay, we're back at Seventh Heaven Rods and Customs, and I'm with Bob Yankee and Steve Conson, owners of Seventh Heaven. Guys, thanks for having us out today.
Thank you for coming out.
What got you guys going in the business, and what brought both of you together?
Well, both Stephen and I are, our whole lives have been dedicated around cars. We both started in the garage. We started with our fathers and relatives. We both grew up looking at the 50s and 60s and not being able to drive and be there and want to be a part of it. So, you know, we dedicated our life to it, and now we want to be back and bring back part of the nostalgia days and the racing and cars and customs of yesterday.
So you guys have been working at this business for some time?
Yeah, I'd say a couple of years now we've been together, but we've actually been in business here for 1 year now.
Well, walking around your shop, I see that there's a lot of different types of cars you're working out there. What's your primary line here? What kind of cars do you work on?
Well, we feel that we don't have a primary line. We feel that in the Chicagoland area there isn't a rod shop, a custom car shop, or a facility that'll take care of anything from a nitro-burning go-kart to a nitro-burning dragster. We love customs and rods and muscle cars and just about anything that rolls on wheels.
Steve, what kind of trends do you guys see in current performance build-ups right now?
I would have to say trends are towards the pro street. A lot of guys want to go with the big tires and the pro street look. So we do a lot of that here. That one's one of our biggest things. Another thing coming along is neon lights. You know, that's been getting to be real popular also.
One of the things that's starting to happen now is that most of the real muscle cars and rods are pretty much eaten up. We have a lot of customs or older cars that we have to redo. The guys are bringing back the old Barris cars and classics and Winfield cars. But the real big part that's starting to happen is that guys are taking emission smog controlled cars and starting to build them. And most of the manufacturers are starting to build cams and intakes and exhaust systems that you could use right around those systems.
Walking around out in your shop, I see there's a lot of different things you guys can do out there, like your machine shop. What specifically can you guys handle in here?
Well, we primarily try to do 90-95% of our own fabricating in shop. That's what the equipment is for. Everything that we do here, we try and keep in-house so that the customer comes and everything is done right here. The cars aren't traveling all over the place. We also try and do all our frame fabrication in-house, and Stephen builds all the frames, he does all the chassis work, he bends all the tubing for roll bars, and that's all done in-house too. We don't buy anything that's pre-made. We do all our own engines here, and we try and do 100% of the assembly of any car.
A lot of handwork on a lot of different things too, I imagine.
Well, you have to do everything from wiring a complete car to a full chassis fabrication to building a motor to chopping a top to, you know, everything. It's all endless what we do here. We try and take care of the customer to the best of our ability on any content of his car.
Well, I'm sure one of the things we can all agree on is one of the best things to put on, in, or around any hot-looking performance machine is a beautifully sexy woman. And Yvonne Dawson soaps up a big, black, and beautifully blown 1977 Corvette in the next feature called Hot Shots. Grease, guts, some sweat, a lot of money, and if you're lucky, a brief flirt with glory every now and then. That's what the next Muscle Cars feature is all about. The base holds up his 1969 350 Camaro. Hi, welcome to Gearhead Garage. We're in the garage of Mike Amoroso of Evergreen Park, Illinois. Camaro? Mike?
How you doing, Joe?
Real good, yourself.
All right.
I see you got the car stripped down. You had
first, before we scuff it down with 400 dry. After we scuff it all down, we're going to shoot the color underneath there. So any overspray that gets on the car, we could always wet sand it later. You know, and then after that, then we start wet sanding the whole body. Once the body's all wet sanded, all the texture's all out of the body, we're going to put the color on in about 3 weeks. We're hoping in 3 weeks we're going to put the color on.
Now, when we first came in the garage earlier, you showed me something down here. We have a different color underneath here. It's kind of a purple color.
Right, 71 Dodge Plum Crazy Purple.
What happened to the plum crazy purple?
Well, we decided to go with the crazy plum, and about 3 days, 4 days later, we decided to change it because it was too gaudy. You know, it was just all purple and it just too much purple in the motor.
Plus, were you scared of putting the plum crazy on a Camaro?
No, it wasn't that. It was just, you know, it just didn't catch your eye really good, you know.
Well, this is the stuff you've got going on there now.
Right.
What's this color?
This is there is no name on this color.
Oh, it's custom color?
Right, it's a custom color. We haven't decided the name on the color yet. It's got a lot of gold in it. It's got the blue pastel color in there. So on the curves in the sun, you're going to see some blue like around the curves, and only in the curves only.
What about the graphics?
The graphics is going to be the light blue and the teal. And when you look at the teal straight, you know, it's going to be like a nice light teal. When you look it down the side of the car, it's going to be all white, the stripe. So it's going to be different.
Okay, we see you've got the interior completely torn out here. You're going to do, I guess, a restoration in here. What have you got
Custom
going?
interior we're going to have. We're going to have the graphics that come around the door jamb. We're going to follow it inside the whole interior. And the seats are going to be the purple color. You know, we didn't come up with a name yet. And the trim all the way around the trim is going to be like a teal, so it matches the graphics and then the carpeting and everything else.
Going to pack some sound deadening in here too?
Yeah, we're going to put like a foam up all inside of there, all on the sides and everything. So, you know, like you said, it's nice soundproof in there.
What I saw was really remarkable here, and we'll look at these door panels in a second. Mike has done an excellent job in terms of smoothing out a lot of the welds and everything on the inside. You've done all this with plastic?
Yes, we did that all with plastic. All the seams around here, all on the edges, all the way across. Same thing with the doors.
How about the doors?
Here. We did the doors all the way around the whole edge, and it took time, but that's what people look at.
Definitely pays off, yeah, especially when you're showing the car turning points.
That's like a #1 point thing in there. So they see that my trunk lid, it's all done like that. The door jambs are done like that. You know, it catches your eye.
Definitely.
It tells you put a lot of time into it.
Now, you're going a little bit of custom here too, something that you don't see too often.
Right.
You've got a wing here?
Yes, the normal spoiler, I see everybody, all the Camaros got the normal spoiler on there. I seen a magazine with only one Camaro that had this spoiler on there, so I thought that'd be different around here. Nobody else has got it, so we're gonna add a spoiler.
Who puts out these?
Got no idea.
Oh, okay.
On that one.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out more about who manufactured that later on when we get into bolting that on the back of the car. Now, we were talking about, I looked at the car before, and it's just straight as an arrow. I mean, it seems like you did, it's an all-metal car, but it seems like you did a lot of patient sanding on there, and you were showing me some of this before. What did you do?
Well, this is what the board file, this is what a lot of body shops use, is the board file. A lot of times, if you keep using this, it's going to warp on you, and then you don't know it's warping, you know? So when you're block sanding it, it doesn't take it off nice and straight. What my buddy Ken Becker told me to use, and his dad, is a paint stick.
Paint stick.
Right, the paint stick is the best thing to use. All you do is just keep sanding it and just keep going away. You can see how it sands nice and even. All the scratches, it should scratch real nice and even. So you keep doing that until you see low spots. Then you stop. You shoot it again with primer. When you shoot it again with primer, let that dry, then you go at it with the paint stick again.
What was your progression of sandpaper that you went in?
With the paper?
Right.
Well, we did first with 80 grit to cut out most of it, and then from 80 grit we went to 120.
Okay.
And from there, just the body got straighter and straighter and straighter. You know, we went through almost like 4 gallons of primer on this. You know, but it all comes down.
I don't think you can get any straighter than
we got
right now.
Probably about 3 coats on there of primer. That's it.
How many hours do you have? Any idea?
Oh, we got about a month and a half from like 4 o'clock to about like 1 o'clock in the morning every night.
So you put some late hours.
Right, there's a lot of late hours into this.
What about finish? I see you're using some Sherwin-Williams stuff right here. You've got the 44 and the 49. Now this is a new product that just came out from Sherwin-Williams.
Ultra Fill 2. This is the 44 is the #1. This is what a lot of body places use, is the 44. The best stuff though is the 49 Ultra Fill 2.
Okay.
This just came out. What it does is, instead of like, you got to get like the body straight where it's got to be all feathered out real nice with all the grit of sandpaper, this one you don't. You rough it out with 36. After you rough it out with 36, then you just shoot the primer Ultra Fill 2.
Okay.
And what it does, it just keeps filling all the spots instead of like Bondo in it or putty. Instead of that, this takes care of it.
Wow.
So I ain't got no putty on the car or no Bondo on the car.
Probably saves, I'm sure it saves them a lot of time.
Yeah, sure does. It sure does. I mean, it takes time to sand it now. You know, you just got to keep sanding away. We went through, like I said, 4 gallons of this stuff, Ultra Fill.
Yeah, but
It's got a hardener, right? It's got the hardener and the reducer that you mix with it.
I see your plum crazy purple up there. What about
There it is.
finish? What about finish that you're going to spray on the car? What are you looking at?
It's a base coat, clear coat on there. It's all urethane. I got that stuff in the house. I would show you to you.
Okay, all right, well, we'll have to take a look at that.
Right.
Now you've got some of your fender panels right here again.
We just
straight.
finished these yesterday. We just blacked them yesterday. You know, we primed them up, and now it's primer sealer on the car.
I don't know if you can get a good shot of this here, but a lot of these fenders, you take a look at a car that's in a full restoration like this, even after a guy's done a lot of work on them, you'll still see some spots and everything that could use a little bit more. Mike's done a lot, put a lot of time into this and really worked these things out straight as far as the entire body on it too.
Yeah, Joe, we're also on these fenders, we're gonna paint the inside of the fenders.
Okay.
It's all cleaned out, all the undercoatings out of them.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna paint the insides and graphics in the inside also.
So pretty much you're keeping the car all metal then too?
Right,
I mean,
oh yeah.
Okay.
All metal.
Okay. What about the chassis underneath?
On the chassis, the frame, I'm gonna bondle the whole frame up, so all the seams, all the welds, I mean, so you don't see none of that. So when I'm ready to shoot it, it's gonna be nice and straight and even. Because that's, on the undercarriage is another thing. They look at the undercarriage and they know you took your time.
Exactly.
And that's where a lot of your points are also.
Oh, it's going to work out. I see you were showing this car some time ago and he really scored some big points in it before. Okay, I understand you're going to put some digital gauges and instrumentation in the dash.
We're going to put the digitals in there to make it break up like the monotony in there. So it's going to all match the interior. It's going to be the green digital in there. It's going to look nice, you know, it's different. A lot of people don't have it, you know.
Again, setting you apart from the next guy too.
Right, a lot of sweet rods got digitals in there. Not too many of like normal cars, the Camaros, the Chevelles, a lot of them don't have it, you know.
Okay.
So it's going to be different.
Well, we're going to take a look at some of that stuff as Mike goes through the final stages of restoration on this car. Now we're going to jump right into his 350 block, where he's going with that engine, in just a moment after this commercial from APPROX.
It was back in 1939 that Vic APPROX Sr. took a 1932 Ford Roadster to the Dry Lakes outside of Southern California to test his own new intake manifold design on the flathead Ford V8. He had an amazing run that day of 121 miles per hour, a new class record. Then he bolted the fenders and mufflers back on and drove home to Los Angeles. It was that day that the APPROX manifold was born.
If you know the name APPROX, I'm sure you know that we have always prided ourselves on having total control of our products from design, engineering, testing, and machining. The demand for our products has grown to the point where it was necessary to take control of all aspects of manufacturing, including the actual casting.
In less than 24 months, APPROX put together the production team and supervised the development and construction of this incredible 73,000 square foot automated aluminum foundry. Typical of the APPROX philosophy, Vic set out to build the best foundry.
I'm really proud of this foundry. It's just another step for APPROX to control the quality and production of our products, making sure we continue to offer the #1 power package today. And what a thrill it's been to build this $7.5 million facility in San Jacinto, California, in the good old U.S.A.
Okay, welcome back to Gearhead Garage. Now, just a couple of moments ago, we were looking at Mike Amoroso's 1969 Camaro. He's got it in primer sealer, has the motor out of it, has the interior out, doing a lot of different work throughout the car, doing a full custom job on it. It's going to be throwing some paint on it in about another week or two. And we'll take a look at that in the next issue. Right now, though, we're looking at the motor that's going to go up front. Mike, what have you got here?
I got a 4-bolt main here, Joe.
It's a 350 Chevy. Okay. Camshaft. What have you got in there right now?
I got a camshaft in there right now. It's a competition cam, but I'm taking that one out, and hydraulic APPROX is going in there.
I notice you're putting a lot of APPROX components on this whole thing. You're going to keep it basically as a balanced
setup. So it all
setup.
matches up right.
Okay.
Everything's going to be all performed from APPROX.
Okay. You've got an APPROX performance manifold right here, a performer manifold. You're going to put an APPROX carburetor. What size?
Yes, I am. 600 CFM is going on top of there, the polished chrome one.
That's going to provide some good performance and good economy for you. Now, going down inside the engine, what kind of compression are we talking about?
I got 10-to-1 compression in there.
Okay.
I had the heads already milled out.
Poured and polished and everything?
Yes, it's all ready for street and strip.
What kind of horsepower are you going to hope to be putting out? Or what do you want to have put out?
About 353 in there. Okay. Since it's bored out 30 over, it's going to be about 350.
Okay, so you have punched the block out.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you should be getting some good power to the rear wheels then, too. Okay. Exhaust-wise, I imagine you're going to be putting a set of headers on here?
Yes, I am. It's going from the headers, I'm going to have like 2.5-inch pipe going down halfway from the car, and I'm going to have the turbo stainless underneath there.
Oh, that'll look sharp, lean, mean, and clean.
Right, because I'm going to have chrome underneath there anyway, so it'll all match up real nice once it's all painted the same color as the car.
And you don't want to have it sound like a monster. You want it to be tempered down. Okay. Distributor-wise, what are you going to fire the engine up on?
Well, it's electronic ignition that I got in our stock for the GM.
Okay, standard GM product?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, again, Mike's going to be getting this thing into paint, going to be tearing the engine down, going to be putting it back together, going to be dropping it in there, and we're going to get this car out of the garage, onto the driveway, and out in the street. And we're going to take a look at this car, hopefully in its finished form, in the next issue of Gearhead Garage, and we'll look forward to seeing you then.
Bad boys, bad toys!
Lower pack and G-Rap, pony pound, street cat. Hemi crew, the muscle got street bus. Hustle got an 8 choco with a 455. Smoke them humbers when I stick it in drive. Bad boys, bad toys. Heavy metal monster riding high. 48 murders, lights in the sky. B8 big block, jacked up mini truck, 12-inch lift and 16 gas truck. Bad boys, bad toys. I said bad boys, bad toys. Hot motor scooter, snarling and clean. Honey on the patch is a riding machine. Fat rack coupe with the 454. Tunnel around dual quads, 4 on the floor. Bad boys, bad toys. I said bad boys, bad toys. Bad, 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 bad boys, bad toys. I said bad boys, bad toys.
For your nearest Bad Boys Bad Toys retailer, call 619-364-3029. Do it now, dude!
We all know the heart in your mouth feeling we get from cruising down the boulevard in a bad-to-the-bone street machine or a fully restored muscle car. Well, the thumbs up or double takes just never seem to stop. But what about a far-out, low-slung, and graphically stunning street rod? Well, here's one car that absolutely owns the road in both styling and performance. Bob Madson's 1931 Model A Coupe. This is one hot ride, one radical ride. We return to the Nifty 50s in the third and final segment to our performance feature series, and what better way to go than in Bill Tyson's 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air two-door hardtop. This car is definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing. Why do we call Bill's car a wolf? Well, one needn't look any farther than the engine compartment to find an explosive 1969 427 Chevy Big Block pumping out just about 430 incredible horsepower. What does it take to get out the power? How about punching out the block 30 over and giving it a compression ratio of 10.5 to 1? Firing the pistons is a Mallory dual-point ignition system with gas being throttled in courtesy of a Holley 850 double pumper. An M22 4-speed and a superb black lacquer finish take this 50s favorite right into the 90s with pure and raw bare-bones power. Steve Conson of Crestwood, Illinois knocks him dead with his 1951 Radical Custom Ford Coupe Futura. 3 years of build time, patience, perseverance, and some serious dollars pay off in this one-of-a-kind ride. Modifications to the body are anything but average, with a 4.5-inch chop in front and 6 inches in the rear, suicide doors with rounded corners and slanted posts, power door and quarter windows. Peak front fenders, a 1950 Merc grill shell molded to the front gravel pan and fenders, a hydraulic rear deck, and a host of other handmade fabrications too numerous to list. Engine and drivetrain are all business, with a Chevy 350 small block being the engine of choice. mildly cammed up, an Edelbrock cross ramp 6-deuce manifold with 6 Stromberg 97 carbs deliver the gas with just a touch of glass. A turbo 350 tranny is run through the gears by way of a B&M Quicksilver shifter. A wild cherry candy finish gives this car of the past the unique distinction of being the radical custom of tomorrow. Frank Valencia takes us right out of the 50s to the year 1982 with his potent and powerful Pontiac Firebird. Putting together a time-proven motor was an easy but tedious task with no opportunity for extra horsepower being overlooked. Starting with a 350 4-bolt main block, Frank added 10-to-1 forged pistons, a Wee-End high-rise intake powder-coated by Seventh Heaven Rods and Customs, Holly 600 carbs, a true roller chain, roller rockers, an Ericsson cam, and Unilite distributor, and a complete engine detailing. A 350 turbo trans, shift kit, and 3,500 RPM stall speed converter keep the gear changes smooth. Mickey Thompson tires and Weld Racing Superlight rims accentuate this car's graphically stunning good looks. A real hot metallic turquoise paint job completes Frank's efforts to customize his bird.
After a racing engine builder has spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars squeezing every possible ounce of power from an engine, there's one finishing touch they like to add. Moroso Engine Accessories. Because an engine that is fast should look it. Engine accessories from Moroso. Race proven.
Saturday saw 7 new NMCA records set or broken. Paul Suloff's 1963 Plymouth Max Wedge kicked in the afterburners for an impressive run at 10.75 seconds at 125.69 miles per hour to set a new record for the fastest Nostalgia Superstocker. Bob Markham's 89 302 Stang proved its power by delivering a new record in pure stock with a quarter-mile run of 15.63 seconds at 88.06 miles per hour. In EFI, it was Red Armstrong in his 87 Buick Regal 231 Turbo running a strong 12.15 seconds at 110.29 miles per hour, and Mike Abbey in his hot 86 SVO 140 Turbo penciling in a new EFI modified record run at 13.36 seconds at 101.80 miles per hour. Class winners included the top and pure stock domination combination of Barry Poole and Steve Vanderwall from Ontario, Canada, with both running a pair of 68.5 Mustangs. Poole's 427 took top stock honors at 11.392 seconds at 119.04 miles per hour. Steve's 429 CJ power plant took him to the A spot in pure stock with a 12.979 pass at 103 miles per hour. The total overall Eliminator winner roster includes Bob Karakashian of Farmington Hills, Michigan in his pure stock 69 Super B with a 446 pack run of 12.56 seconds at 109.22 miles per hour. In top stock, it was, yes, Barry Poole at 11.347 seconds at 119.68 miles per hour. Richard Lowry of Akron, Ohio pounded out a winner in modified production, taking his 1970 Chevelle down the track at 10.747 seconds at 126.40 miles per hour. An 87 Grand National owned by Pat Kelly of Houston, Texas, took EFI stock appearing at 12.532 seconds at 112.21 miles per hour. Greg Whiteside of Bensonville, Illinois, was numero uno in EFI modified with his 87 Grand National with a 12.047 second pass at 111.94 miles per hour. Dan Bird knocked him dead in his 64 Plymouth Fury from Sykes-Town, Missouri, punching out a first-place finish in 0.95 miles per hour. Finally, it was Leroy Zelli's 80-pound bracket class running 14.828 seconds at 89.06 0.99 miles per hour. Without question, the National Muscle Car Association puts on some of the best drag racing in the country, and the racing which took place at Milan Dragway was no exception. Some won and some lost, but in reality, everyone was a winner as they added another decisive pace to drag racing. Get ready for the World Finals coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee in the next edition of Muscle Cars Plus Video Magazine. And now some information from the organization that brought you this great event, the National Muscle Car Association.
If you want to join the #1 organization for the muscle car enthusiast, then listen up. For only $19.50, you can join the National Muscle Car Association and receive 12 issues of Muscle Monthly magazine, discounts from over 40 dealers of high-performance products, an official NMCA membership card, and much more. To join thousands of others who support your check or money order in the amount of $19.50 to the National Muscle Car Association, 3404 Democrat Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38118. Or call 901-365-3779 and have your Visa or MasterCard ready. The National Muscle Car Association. Join today.
Today, the enjoyment of American-built muscle cars, street machines, and customized rods isn't just limited to our borders. More people around the world are taking to American performance the way a horse takes to water. In fact, in Europe, Australia, Japan, and beyond, American muscle is looked at the same way foreign exotica like Porsches, Ferraris, and Lamborghinis are viewed here, with total respect for their awesome power and looks.
This is Paul Hayden for MUSCLECARS Plus in Victoria's riverboat capital, Echuca, on the banks of the Murray River. We're here today to cover the second annual run of the 60s American Muscle Car Club.
Paul takes us to a small but impressive show in Echuca, Australia for the anniversary run and show held by the 60s American Muscle Car Club. One wouldn't think that American muscle cars would have a place in a country known for its vast and diverse wildlife, as well as the wide open ranges used for grazing sheep, with wool being a major Australian export. Well, on the import side, it seems that a great number of people have taken a great interest in pure American iron. The 60s American Muscle Car Club is comprised of a large and impressive variety of GM, Ford, and Chrysler vehicles, most being purchased by their current owners here in the U.S. at some of the big shows run throughout the year and then are shipped to their new homes down under, usually by ocean freight. Of course, most cars shipped from the States are then converted to right-hand drive for use overseas, where they drive on the opposite side of the road. Many of these cars were not purchased just to be penned up in a show stall, but to be driven and driven hard in improvised drag racing setups put together for local clubs. Paul's tape tells it all. American muscle cars were made to be shown and run, not only by us here stateside, but by all those interested in top-notch performance and styling not found anywhere else in the world. Who can blame them? Who says American cars don't sell in Japan? Tad Matsuno, another Muscle Cars Plus freelancer, sent us this tape of American muscle and classics on show in Japan. It seems that after viewing this tape and having an understanding of Japan's westernized culture, it is no wonder that the Japanese have embraced another symbol of American culture. From the looks of things, the crowd is checking out a number of very lean and very clean examples of various muscle cars, rods, and classics. Perhaps more so than Australia, many of these cars are purchased solely for their looks, with performance being a secondary consideration. Maybe Detroit might have more success by retooling to produce a 60s era factory performance vehicle. Toyota, move over.
Order now. One phone call brings you 3 high-performance automotive and truck magazines for only $29.95. Popular hot rodding, Super, Chevy, and off-road magazines delivered to your door for 1 year for just 83 cents a copy. Popular hot rodding, the must magazine for the do-it-yourselfer. In-depth information, low-buck tech tips, spectacular car features, and behind-the-scenes race coverage. Super Chevy, the #1 Chevrolet magazine in the world, from street performance to the restoration shop. Hands-on technical projects that really work and exceptional features on America's most beautiful Chevrolets. If trucks turn you on, then Off-Road magazine covers the world of off-roading for 2- and 4-wheel drive. Truck testing, race coverage, how-to projects, they're all in Off-Road. 3 dynamic magazines each month for only $29.95. Call 1-800-545-9364. Visa and MasterCard accepted. 1-800-545-9364. Or send a check or money order to Argus Special, P.O. Box 49659, Los Angeles, California 90049. Order now, 1-800-545-9364.
Many of us wish we could attend more events during the summer months. Time simply will not allow it. Video does. In this and future editions of Flashback, we're going to take you back in time to some of the hottest drag racing and biggest shows held anywhere in the country over the past 10 years. It's the perfect way to relive the magic of summers gone by. In this edition of Flashback, we're going back in time to the 1990 Mopar Nationals held in Columbus, Ohio. Every once in a while, an event comes along that has all the right ingredients for success, including good weather, a great location, wall-to-wall performance, and a totally enthusiastic crowd of participants and spectators. Well, the 1990 Mopar Nationals had all of these qualifications and then some. Held in Columbus, Ohio since 1986, the Nats is by far the largest Mopar event on Earth. An event so big it draws worldwide attendance. An event looked upon with such anticipation it demands planning well in advance if you even hope to get a hotel within 100 miles. The first event resembling the Nats was held back in 1981 with close to 500 Mopars attending the show at the Chrysler Proving Grounds. 1984 saw the official Mopar Nationals moving to the Indy 500 racetrack in Indianapolis, with attendance jumping to about 1,200 cars. In 1986, the Nats moved to its present home in Columbus, Ohio, and a course was set with destiny. Well, by 1990, the event had exploded into a Mopar extravaganza, with the competition being held at the National Trail Raceway. Record attendance for both people and cars was set with a total of 37,066 Mopar fanatics attending, along with 3,031 of the nation's finest Mopars. As always, Mopar fans were treated to top-of-the-line competition, including 2 5.20-second passes at 260 miles per hour by Gene Snow in his Top Fuel dragster. Inevitably, late-night cruising took over as the action from the strip spilled onto Bryce Road, fulfilling a tradition that has become an essential part of the total Mopar Nats package. In fact, many people we've talked to love the racing but actually came for the cruising. Much of the enthusiasm put forth by the crowd was not shared by the local police, as they tried to put a tight lid on both cars and drivers throughout Friday and Saturday nights. The show of force didn't stop the majority of cars from hitting the streets with 2- and 3-mile backups full of blown Pro Streeters, AAR Cudas, Superbirds, Challengers, rods, and everything else pumped out of the factory. The weather couldn't have been better either, as warm temps and clear skies made it ever so easy to have some real fun. Now, overall, the 1990 Mopar Nationals was a total success, as are all the events put on by this great organization. We'd like to thank Brian Kimball for sending us this footage of the 1990 Nationals for Flashback. In just a few minutes, we're going to be showing you some of the upcoming programming due out in the next issue of Muscle Cars Plus. But right now in Tech and Spec, for all of you who have considered utilizing the awesome and instant power of nitrous oxide, we're going to be showing you an informative piece of video sent to us by NOS, the leader in nitrous oxide injection systems, on how to properly install a nitrous oxide system in your car. And now, Tech and Spec.
Now it's time to see just how easy it is to apply this simple but exciting technology to the average street machine using a kit made by Nitrous Oxide Systems. To demonstrate installation of the popular NOS cheater system, we have chosen an engine that is equally popular with enthusiasts, the 350 cubic inch V8. First, we will concentrate on installing the injector plate assembly. Since the injector plate must be mounted underneath the carburetor, our first step is to disconnect the carburetor and remove it from the intake manifold. Then, using new gaskets, install the injector plate into the manifold with the NOS logo facing up. The next step is to insert the flare jets, the nitrous jet into the blue fitting, then the fuel jet into the red fitting. Along with the nitrous and fuel solenoids, 2 sets of solenoid extension tubes are supplied with the cheater system kit. One set has been preformed to clear most of the carburetor and manifold combinations, meaning that with one end of each tube attached to the injector plate, the other end will reach the solenoid bracket mounted on or near a carburetor stud. The second set is a universal set of straight tubes that can be cut and formed to a shape that will work with your system. Check the preformed tubes first and see if they will work with the solenoid location you have selected. After checking the alignment of your extension tubes, go ahead and tighten them onto your injector plate fittings and to the nitrous solenoid. Since the fuel solenoid will be mounted over the carburetor, you will need to make a note of your bracket position and temporarily disassemble those components. Now you can position the new carburetor gasket and check that your extension tubes are snug. Then you can install the carburetor on top of the injector plate assembly and place the fuel solenoid onto the carburetor stud and connect the fuel solenoid extension tube. You can now tighten down the carburetor assembly, connecting the throttle and any other components that you disconnected during removal, including your fuel supply. It is this fuel line that we will tap into to supply fuel to the fuel solenoid. On most power shot and cheater systems, this can be accomplished by simply inserting a brass T fitting into the fuel line between the carburetor and the fuel pump. You will cut the existing line and after sliding on a new hose clamp, insert the T into the line. You may want to lubricate the fuel line to allow the T to slide in easier. Your new additional fuel line will be connected to the inlet port of the fuel solenoid. The brass T, along with the additional fuel line and clamps, are all included in the kit. With the fuel source and solenoids in place, we are ready to proceed with the electrical hookup. As with any electrical work, be sure and disconnect the battery ground cable. Each solenoid is equipped with 2 wires, a hot lead and a ground wire. Separate the ground wire and cut it to a length that will enable you to reach a nearby chassis grounded component. Strip the wire end, then crimp on the connector supplied in the kit. Repeat this procedure on both solenoids. Once both connectors are on, you can attach them to the ground you have selected. We will now concentrate on the hot leads to the solenoids. You will want to trim both leads to a length that will enable you to attach them together with another connector, so you can run just a single line to your Activate button. Run your single hot lead across the engine compartment in a manner that will not interfere with any other engine components. Crimp on the appropriate connector and connect it to the now joined solenoid leads. The other end of the hot lead can be connected to a wire headed for the nitrous Activate button. With the solenoid wiring completed, you can attach the nitrous feed line onto the nitrous solenoid. First, however, you'll need to install the nitrous filter fitting onto the solenoid. Now you can uncoil the braided stainless steel feed line and attach it to the nitrous filter fitting on the solenoid. The feed line will have to be run back to the trunk of the car where you'll be installing the nitrous bottle. You may run the line either through the passenger compartment or underneath the vehicle. The mounting position of the bottle is very critical. The bottle must be mounted at an upward angle with the valve end toward the front of the car. The bottle should be aligned in the bracket so that the valve adapter is pointing straight down. It is only in this position that the internal siphon tube can pick up the liquid nitrous. The bottle brackets can be fastened to a board, as we have done here, or directly to the floor of the trunk. When tightening the bottle into the brackets, remember your valve positioning. Then position the bottle in the trunk so you can determine where you will need to drill to access the feed line. Mark your drilling spot at a location directly under the valve adapter. Then you will need to remove the bottle and drill a hole large enough to accommodate the feed line. After drilling, go ahead and pull the line through. Before hooking up the line, you'll need to install the bottle valve adapter, making sure the nut washer is in place, and tighten it onto the bottle valve. Now you are ready to install the bottle and to hook up the nitrous feed line. The last step in this installation is to install the cockpit switches. In a suitable location within easy reach of the driver, you will need to mount the system's on-off or arming toggle switch. Connect a hot lead to one side of the switch and a ground wire to the light terminal. On the third terminal, you will attach a jumper wire that will connect to the push-button switch. The NOS shift handle with push-button switch is a popular option for convenient nitrous activation. After connecting the jumper wire to the arming switch and the remaining wire to the lead going to the solenoids, you are ready to test the system. With the system armed, a clicking sound can be heard from the solenoids when pushing the activating button. Repeat this test on each solenoid. If no sound is heard, recheck your wiring with the schematic supplied with the instructions. Before trying out your nitrous kit, both the nitrous and fuel sides of the system should be checked for leaks, retightening fittings as necessary. As you can see, installation is relatively simple, requiring only basic tools and mechanical know-how. Earlier, we installed an NOS cheater system on a small block 350. Being performance addicts just like you, we wanted to see the system in action. This innocent-looking 1981 Buick Regal just happens to have a small block 350 Chevrolet motor equipped with an NOS cheater system, very similar to the setup on our installation car. To really know what effect nitrous oxide would have on our performance, it was necessary to first make a run without the nitrous system. Our time, 12.61 at 108 miles per hour. Not a bad time, but what effect will nitrous have on that time with no other modifications? Special care was taken to duplicate the run in all other respects. We ran the same lane, with the same driver at the same track with identical weather conditions. The only difference was nitrous. No other changes were made between runs. But the nitrous difference was noticeable from the green light, quicker acceleration and more top-end horsepower. The time and tower confirmed it. We trimmed well over a second from our elapsed time. Everything you need for dramatically boosting horsepower in your car has been put together in a convenient package, including the phone number of the NOS Tech Department for any additional help or advice. There are a few accessories available from NOS that pertain to the nitrous bottle itself. This bottle heater is ideal if you're having trouble maintaining the recommended 70-degree minimum bottle temperature. This remote bottle valve will eliminate the need to manually turn your bottle valve on and off. And this NOS bottle blanket can also be useful for controlling the temperature of your nitrous supply. Well, now we all know what nitrous is, and with bolt-on horsepower gains of 50% or more, the first time you hit the button, you'll agree with me, it's a gas.
Okay, as we prepare to wrap up this edition of Muscle Cars Plus Video Magazine, I'd like to tell you about some of the upcoming programming due out in the next issue of Muscle Cars Plus. I can promise you it's going to be absolutely sizzling. We're going to be showing you highlights of the National Muscle Car Association's Flowmaster Muffler Challenge World Finals 92, held at the Memphis Motor Park Speedway. This includes what's being billed as the world's fastest street car shootout. This is an event you won't want to miss. In addition, we will be expanding all the features you've just seen, including another high-performance profile in Top Gun. Another of our performance girls gets down and dirty in a new edition of Hot Shots. We'll visit Mike Amoroso as he puts the finishing touches on his 1969 350 Camaro in Gearhead Garage. All this including Flashback, muscle cars worldwide, a whole ton of performance features. We'll check out some video from the Midwest Nostalgia Superstockers Association, hot street racing action with Asphalt Animals, more coast-to-coast cruising with Cruisin U.S.A., and much, much, much more. We look forward to seeing you in the next edition of Muscle Cars Plus Video Magazine. I'm Joe HACKL. Take care.